Today's podcast is for those neurotypical wives who may be suffering from Cassandra Syndrome. This is Mark Hutten, and today I want to talk about the emotional osmosis. Why neurotypical partners absorb their autistic husband's internal anxiety. If you're a neurotypical spouse in a neurodiverse marriage, you've often probably felt stressed, tense, exhausted, emotionally heavy, even though technically nothing happened per se. In other words, no argument, no crisis, no harsh words, no visible conflict. And yet your body feels like it just lived through something. Your chest is tight, your nervous system feels agitated, you feel strangely drained, and maybe you ask yourself, why am I so anxious right now? Or why do I feel on edge when nobody is fighting? Or why do I feel like I'm carrying something that doesn't belong to me? So today I want to talk about something I rarely hear explained very clearly: the emotional osmosis. The way one partner's unspoken internal anxiety can slowly transfer into the shared atmosphere of the relationship until the other partner starts carrying it too. That's not manipulation. It's not weakness. It's not you as the NT wife being too sensitive. It's basically a nervous system contagion. And once you understand it, everything starts making more sense. Now, if you're in a neurodiverse relationship where you have an autistic husband and you're the neurotypical wife, this channel is for you. We talk honestly about the real dynamics people live with, but with compassion, nuance, and respect for both people. Today's message is important because many neurotypical spouses blame themselves for exhaustion. They think, maybe I'm too needy, or maybe I'm too emotional, or maybe I'm just impossible to please, or maybe I'm the problem. But sometimes what they're feeling is not a personal issue. It's a prolonged exposure to unprocessed stress energy inside the relationship system. So let's unpack that. What is the emotional osmosis? Osmosis is when something passes through a membrane quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. Emotional osmosis in relationships works similarly. One partner may carry high internal anxiety, but not express it directly. They may look calm externally. They may say, I'm fine. They may keep functioning. They may go to work, complete tasks, handle logistics, but internally, their body is tense, their mind is racing, they're overstimulated, they're bracing for demands, they're managing sensory load, they're suppressing overwhelm, and that anxiety does not disappear simply because it's silent. It leaks into voice tone, pacing, facial expression, abrupt responses, avoidance. It leaks into emotional unavailability and into the atmosphere at home. And the neurotypical wife often absorbs it without realizing it, not because they're fragile, but because human nervous systems are relational. We constantly read one another. Your body notices what your mind has not named yet. Now let's talk about why this happens so often in neurodiverse marriages where one person is autistic and the other one is not. Most autistic husbands experience anxiety differently than the stereotype suggests. Sometimes it doesn't look like panic per se. Sometimes it just looks like irritability, shut down, retreat, hyperfocus, silence, maybe rigid routines or defensive logic. Sometimes it looks like impatience, emotional flatness, or controlling the environment. So you as the neurotypical wife may not necessarily have the thought, well, my husband is anxious. Instead, you may have had the thought, he doesn't care, he's cold, he's mad at me, he's rejecting me, he's impossible to connect with. And that misread really matters because now the NT wife reacts emotionally to behaviors that are partly stress responses. And now both nervous systems are activated. One person has hidden anxiety, the other person has relational pain. And now the marriage becomes a two-person stress chamber. Let's talk about your experience as the NT wife. You may be carrying symptoms that are actually responses to chronic ambient stress. You may notice fatigue around your ASD husband, relief when he leaves the room. You may feel you're walking on eggshells. You may be very hypervigilant about his voice tone. You may be overthinking every interaction. You might even feel loneliness when he's in the same room with you. You may have unexplained irritability. You may feel emotionally starved. And you may even need some recovery time after simple conversations with your ASD spouse. And this is confusing because you might think he didn't do anything. Sometimes it's not one event. It's a cumulative exposure to a dysregulated emotional climate. You're reacting to the atmosphere, not just incidents. And that distinction is life-changing because it shifts the question from what is wrong with me to what system am I living inside? Now let's talk about your ASD husband's perspective. You may sincerely love him. You don't intend to harm him. You may feel confused hearing that your anxiety affects him because you think, well, I keep my anxiety to myself. I don't talk about it. I'm not yelling at him. I'm handling it internally. But guess what? Your internal stress is still communicative. Bodies broadcast. Your ASD spouse will feel your urgency, your shutdown, your tension, your resentment, your overstimulation, your withdrawal, even if no words are spoken. This doesn't mean you're bad or doing anything wrong. It means your nervous system is part of the marriage too. And healing often begins when autistic spouses stop viewing regulation as a private issue and start seeing it as a relational gift. Your calm helps both of you. Your self-awareness protects the bond. Now let's talk about how co-regulation breaks down. Healthy couples unconsciously regulate each other. One person is stressed, the other offers steadiness. One person is overwhelmed, the other brings warmth. One person gets flooded, the other helps contain the moment. That's called co-regulation. But in many neurodiverse marriages, both partners become dysregulated in different ways. For example, the autistic spouse returns home overstimulated from work. He becomes withdrawn, rigid. Then the neurotypical spouse senses disconnection and feels hurt. She pursues connection with intensity. The autistic spouse feels pressured and shuts down even more. And then the NT spouse feels abandoned and may escalate more. Now, no one is regulating anyone. Each person is accidentally amplifying the other. And this is why just communicate better often fails, because two activated nervous systems can't access their best communication skills. Now, let's talk about shifting blame from character to neurology. And this is where many couples need a total mindset shift. So, instead of my spouse is selfish, needy, cold, dramatic, controlling, impossible, let's try words like my spouse is dysregulated, overstimulated, attachment triggered, anxious, under-resourced, protective, misattuned. That doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it explains the mechanism. And when couples understand the mechanism, they can intervene intelligently. You stop fighting ghosts. You start treating patterns, and that's powerful. Let's talk about some co-regulation tools. Let's get real practical here. Tool number 1, name the state, not the character. Instead of you're being rude, try you seem overloaded right now. Instead of you never care, try I think we're both activated right now. This lowers shame and increases teamwork. Tool number 2, create transition rituals. Most autistic husbands need decompression after work, or after errands, or after social exposure. So, try a 20-minute transition routine. No demands, dim lighting, quiet place, predictable reset, hydration, movement, or taking a shower. Then connect after. This prevents raw stress from spilling into the marriage. Tool number 3, body check-ins before conversations. Ask yourself, is my jaw tight? Is my chest tight? Am I rushing? Am I bracing? Am I flooded? If yes, regulate first and talk second. Tool number 4, use parallel regulation. Sometimes face-to-face emotional talks are just too intense for the ASD spouse. So try regulating side by side. For example, walk together, drive together, fold laundry together, sit on the porch together. Less eye contact pressure, more nervous system ease. Tool number 5, shared language. Use phrases like, I'm overloaded, I'm not rejecting you. Or, I'm needing reassurance, I'm not attacking you. Or, I think we're both activated. Or you can say, let's reset and come back. This can save your marriage. Now, for the NT wife who feels empty, if you have been absorbing your ASD spouse's anxiety for years, you probably feel depleted. So let me say this very clearly. You are not crazy for feeling tired. You're not weak for needing emotional oxygen. You're not selfish for wanting warmth. Your body has been trying to tell you the truth. And sometimes that truth is this. This environment costs me more than I realized. Now, that truth is not betrayal. It's just information. And once you know it, you can build boundaries and skills and healthier systems. Now, for the autistic spouse who may be listening to this podcast who feels misunderstood, you may hear this topic and think, so now I'm blamed for being anxious? No, that's not the message here. The message is this. Your internal world matters. And if you learn to regulate stress earlier and to communicate overload sooner and to create repair after shutdowns, your neurodiverse relationship can become dramatically safer. You don't need to become neurotypical. You need better translation and better regulation. That's different, and it's possible. Now, if your marriage feels exhausting, but you can't explain why, emotional osmosis may be part of the story. Invisible stress becomes shared stress. Silent anxiety becomes relational fatigue. Unspoken overload becomes mutual pain. But awareness changes everything. When couples learn to see nervous systems, not just personalities, they gain compassion, strategy, and hope. Now, if this resonates, comment below. We've been living this. And if you'd like help breaking these patterns in your own neurodiverse marriage, I offer private coaching and workshops designed specifically for couples like you. And if this video helped you, please subscribe. We talk about the things most people miss, but that change everything once you understand them. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you in the next podcast. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.